Prince Andrew is facing increasing pressure to move out of the Royal Lodge at Windsor, with representatives of King Charles reportedly in talks over the disgraced royal's home.
A massive, unexpected panic is tearing right through the highest levels of the British royal family as Prince Andrew breaks his long silence with explosive new claims about Meghan Markle, leaving fans in an uproar. In a series of highly confidential, leaked legal briefings and private recordings, the Duke of York has leveled a stunning series of accusations directly at Meghan Markle. He claims that the Duchess of Sussex was not an innocent victim of palace bureaucracy, but was actively working with external corporate entities to build a dossier on his own private finances long before the royal wedding ever took place. Andrew's shocking claims have completely stunned global royal watchers, turning the entire history of Megxit upside down. According to these explosive new accounts, Prince Andrew caught Meghan Markle actively searching restricted administrative files inside a secure private study at Sandringham. He claims she was attempting to access highly classified international trade envoy documents that dated back to his controversial 10-year tenure as the UK's special representative for international trade. This was not a casual mistake or an innocent misunderstanding over palace history. Andrew is explicitly alleging that the Duchess of Sussex was operating a highly sophisticated, independent intelligence-gathering mission from right inside the palace framework, using her newly acquired royal status as the ultimate skeleton key to open doors that had been sealed for decades. What did Prince Andrew really discover inside those missing files? What are the exact details of the secret deal he claims Meghan was trying to uncover to leverage her own financial independence? And how did a disgraced prince, who has spent years hidden away in royal exile, manage to catch the most polarizing woman in modern royal history dead in her tracks? The answers will shock you beyond words. Before we look at the raw evidence and dissect these shocking claims piece by piece, we must bring to everyone's attention that the timeline of this incredible confrontation does not begin with a public press release or an explosive television interview. It begins in the freezing, fog-heavy days of January 2019 at the Sandringham estate in Norfolk. The royal family had gathered for their traditional winter retreat, a private time meant for shooting parties, heavy dinners, and family reconciliation away from the prying eyes of the global media. The atmosphere inside the Grand House was already thick with tension. The public feud between the Sussexes and the Cambridges was beginning to dominate the front pages of the British tabloids, and the palace staff was working around the clock to maintain a thin facade of family unity. It was during this strained retreat that Prince Andrew claims he decided to visit the library in the late hours of the night to retrieve a set of historic maps. The house was completely dark, the servants had retired to their quarters, and the only sound was that of the winter wind rattling the ancient leaded windows. As Andrew approached the private archive room, a room that requires a specific digital security clearance and an explicit royal invite to enter, he noticed a thin sliver of light bleeding out across the polished hallway floor. He did not expect to find anyone inside. The archive room houses the private diaries, financial ledgers, and restricted corporate correspondence of the royal family dating back over a century. When Andrew pushed the door open, he claims he did not find an archivist or a security officer. What he found was far more surprising. He found Meghan Markle standing directly over a massive, unlocked metal filing cabinet, holding a high-end digital camera phone in her hand, rapidly taking photographs of restricted financial ledgers that detailed the private income of the House of York. The confrontation that followed was short, cold, and dripping with immediate mutual hostility. According to Prince Andrew's leaked legal briefing, when he demanded to know exactly what she was doing in a restricted archive room past midnight, the Duchess of Sussex did not panic. She did not drop her camera or offer a tearful apology. Instead, she stood her ground, looked the Duke of York dead in the eye, and claimed she was simply looking for historic family photographs to include in a personal digital project she was developing for her upcoming lifestyle brand. But Andrew claims the folder open on the table directly in front of her had absolutely nothing to do with family photos. It was a thick black leather binder containing the highly sensitive, unvetted financial records of his controversial tenure as the UK's special trade envoy. These were the exact documents that independent journalists, anti-monarchy campaign groups, and international investigators had been desperately trying to access through Freedom of Information requests for over a decade. They contained the private flight logs, the unvetted corporate funding networks, and the highly sensitive names of international billionaires who had financed Andrew's lavish lifestyle across the globe. According to Andrew, he immediately realized that this was not a matter of idle curiosity. The Duchess of Sussex was systematically searching for financial leverage. She understood that Prince Andrew was the most vulnerable link in the royal chain, a man whose private financial dealings were already under intense scrutiny from international intelligence agencies and investigative journalists. By securing photographic proof of his hidden international funding networks, Meghan was allegedly building a massive bulletproof insurance policy. An insurance policy she could use to negotiate her own financial independence from the palace, ensuring that if the institution ever tried to cut off her funding or restrict her global commercial ambitions, she would hold the keys to a corporate explosion that could bring down the entire monarchy. The Duke of York claims he instantly took the folder and ordered her out of the room, warning her that entering the private archives without explicit permission from the reigning sovereign was a severe breach of royal protocol that could carry massive institutional consequences. But the damage had already been done. The invisible battle lines had been drawn inside Sandringham, and a dark, paranoid war of attrition had officially begun between the disgraced prince and the ambitious American Duchess. When Andrew carried the details of this shocking midnight ambush to his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, the reaction from the top was not what he had expected. The late Queen was a master of institutional survival, and she understood that launching a formal investigation into the actions of Prince Harry's new wife would create a public relations disaster of unmanageable proportions. The global media would immediately paint the palace as hostile, racist, and deeply paranoid, completely destroying the carefully managed fairy tale of the royal wedding. Instead of a loud public confrontation, the Queen opted for a quiet, well-planned containment operation. She ordered the security locks on the private archives to be changed immediately, and she quietly instructed her most trusted courtiers to monitor the Sussexes' administrative requests with an iron fist. Every single document they wished to view, every travel schedule they attempted to log, and every external corporate contact they made had to be cleared through the sovereign's private office first. The trap was closing around Harry and Meghan, and according to Andrew's claims, it was this sudden, suffocating institutional surveillance that ultimately drove the Sussexes to execute their dramatic midnight departure from the royal family just 1 year later. But Prince Andrew did not stop there. In the second section of his explosive leaked dossier, the Duke of York alleges that after Harry and Meghan successfully fled to California, the Duchess unleashed her gathered information through a network of highly sophisticated third-party corporate entities. He claims that Meghan's true objective was never a simple lifestyle blog or a series of generic Hollywood documentaries. She was actively using her knowledge of the palace's hidden financial dealings to secure high-value partnerships with elite international trade executives and venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. Furthermore, Andrew alleges that during their initial meetings with top-tier executives from Netflix and Spotify, the Sussexes did not just pitch generic content ideas about charity work and mental health. They were offering a deep, inside-out look at how the British royal family operates its private commercial networks behind closed doors. He claims that Meghan used her understanding of his own trade envoy records to show these multi-billion-dollar corporations exactly how royal status could be leveraged to bypass traditional international trade regulations, open closed diplomatic channels, and secure massive untaxed corporate investments under the guise of global philanthropy. The Duke of York claims that this specific hidden data was the real reason Netflix was willing to hand an unproven production company a massive $100 million contract. The corporate giants were not buying a fairy tale story. They were buying highly sensitive institutional intelligence. They wanted to know exactly how the House of Windsor had managed to maintain its vastly untraceable global wealth for generations. And they wanted to use that blueprint to build a parallel commercial empire centered entirely around the Sussex brand in North America. But this high-stakes corporate game began to fall apart in the early months of 2026. The global audience began to suffer from severe Sussex fatigue. The streaming numbers for their expensive projects suffered an unprecedented decline, and their former Hollywood A-list friends began executing a brutal, coordinated social freeze against the couple. As their financial firepower in Montecito began to dry up, the pressure inside their mansion reached a boiling point. They needed a new, explosive narrative to shock the world and revive their failing commercial brand, and that is when Prince Andrew claims they turned their sights directly back onto him again. According to Andrew's latest claims, a small team of independent investigative journalists based in the United States suddenly received an anonymous encrypted digital drop containing detailed unvetted records of his historical Windsor income and his private trade envoy flight logs. The timing of the leak was mathematically perfect, landing across international news feeds on the exact week that anti-monarchy protests erupted in central London during the King's birthday parade. Andrew is explicitly accusing Meghan Markle's camp of being the true source of this devastating digital drop. He claims she weaponized the remaining fragments of the Sandringham dossier to trigger a fresh wave of public outrage against him, deliberately syncing the leak with the political protests in London to maximize the reputational damage to the monarchy and force King Charles III back onto the defensive. It was a move of pure, calculated strategic revenge, designed to show the palace that even from 3,000 miles away in California, the Duchess of Sussex still possessed the ultimate power to make the royal family bleed. The consequences of this hidden warfare have just manifested in the most terrifying way possible for the House of York. The thin wall of protection that had kept Prince Andrew safe from formal prosecution has completely dissolved. In a stunning development that has left the entire British establishment completely paralyzed with shock, the Crown Prosecution Service and the Metropolitan Police have officially launched a massive, wide-ranging criminal probe into Andrew's historical activities. The investigation is not a simple review of past gossip. Cops have officially widened their inquiry into his entire 10 years as the UK's special trade envoy, and they are actively assessing severe, standalone claims of sexual misconduct, massive financial fraud, deep-seated corporate corruption, and active perverting of the course of justice. The British police are openly probing an explosive new claim originating from an incident involving a woman at Royal Ascot.
The latest release of the Epstein files has laid bare the extraordinary influence that the American sex trafficker had on key figures in the British establishment.
A claim that has blown the decades-old cover-up wide open. The Crown Prosecution Service is currently reviewing the evidence to charge the former prince under misconduct in public office, a severe criminal charge that carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. The physical execution of this probe has been swift and brutal. Andrew was officially arrested by senior detectives at his Sandringham home on his 66th birthday, February 19th, before being released under intense criminal investigation. The arrest was kept completely quiet for weeks, shielded by a web of national security injunctions, but the structural foundations of the palace have been permanently shattered. The investigators are utilizing a massive trove of newly uncovered financial documents that detail a secret, untaxed Windsor income stream that Andrew had been utilizing to maintain his multi-million-dollar lifestyle at the Royal Lodge, despite having no official royal salary. One question remained on the mind of everyone: how did the authorities get their hands on the information they needed? Prince Andrew's opinion on that would leave you surprised. Prince Andrew is completely convinced that the precise, clinical nature of the financial data currently held by the police could only have come from one source: the digital files photographed in the Sandringham archive room in 2019. He claims that the Duchess of Sussex did not just leak the data to the media, she quietly routed the unvetted financial ledgers directly to international legal teams and British law enforcement agencies through a network of anonymous intermediary lawyers in Washington. It was the ultimate, devastating corporate strike. By placing the raw financial data directly into the hands of criminal investigators, Meghan has successfully stripped Andrew of his final institutional shield. The king can no longer protect his brother through royal decrees or private allowances, because any attempt to interfere with an active police probe into misconduct in public office would trigger a catastrophic constitutional crisis that could destroy the legitimacy of the entire throne. Andrew has been left entirely exposed, isolated, and facing the very real prospect of a high-profile criminal trial that will lay bare the darkest financial secrets of the British Crown before a global audience. Fans of the Sussex duo have been in an uproar since these revelations, finding the betrayal from Meghan absolutely heartbreaking. Additionally, the toxic radioactive fallout from Prince Andrew's shocking claims has completely paralyzed the political machinery of the United Kingdom. For months, senior cabinet ministers and top-level civil servants had been quietly working behind closed doors on a highly confidential operation known as Project Thaw. The goal of this project was to establish a slow, carefully monitored diplomatic pathway to ease Prince Harry back into a quasi-official, non-commercial public role in the United Kingdom, utilizing his massive global profile for state diplomacy while keeping his volatile Hollywood business ventures at a safe distance from the core functioning of the crown. The project had recently gained immense momentum when King Charles III delivered his major speech at the state opening of Parliament, inserting a highly specific, urgent pledge to tackle rising domestic social division. In what top political journalists viewed as a perfectly synchronized media play, Prince Harry published a lengthy opinion piece in a prominent British magazine that very same week, echoing his father's warnings almost word for word. The strategic alignment was blindingly obvious to everyone inside the British establishment, and it looked as though the first bridge toward family reconciliation had been successfully built. But Prince Andrew's explosive dossier has completely crushed Project Thaw into absolute dust. The moment the details of his claims regarding Meghan's hidden Sandringham intelligence mission reached the desk of the Prime Minister, the political appetite for any involvement with the Sussexes completely evaporated. The British government cannot afford to touch a couple accused by a senior royal of actively operating an independent corporate intelligence gathering operation from right inside secure state residences. The risk of future leaks, unvetted corporate tracking, and unpredictable financial data drops has made the Duchess of Sussex completely radioactive to the British civil service. Prince William has utilized this massive wave of political panic to execute a permanent, absolute institutional veto. William has made it completely and ruthlessly clear to both the cabinet and the King's private office that any further attempts to negotiate with Prince Harry or grant him any form of official institutional access will be met with a total shutdown from the incoming sovereign's team. William has used the raw data of Andrew's claims to prove to his father that the Sussex brand is not a family problem to be solved with patience, but a permanent corporate threat that must be totally and permanently isolated from the machinery of the state. The gates to the kingdom have been firmly and permanently locked. The dreams of a triumphant, modern royal return for Harry and Meghan are officially over, dead on the vine. The shocking claims carried inside Andrew's leaked briefings have become the ultimate structural bricks used to wall the Sussexes out of Great Britain for the rest of their natural lives. But shockingly enough, Prince Andrew did not stop at the dossier. He went further. As the campaign of accusations escalates, Prince Andrew has dropped what royal watchers are calling the ultimate strategic bomb against the Montecito household. In a third, highly sensitive legal brief that has quietly made its way into the hands of British political journalists, the Duke of York alleges that Meghan Markle attempted to orchestrate a highly lucrative, secret business deal with him during the summer of 2018, just weeks after her royal wedding. Andrew claims that Meghan approached him during a private gathering at Windsor Castle, completely away from the rest of the family, and proposed a joint, unvetted international commercial venture. According to his shocking statement, the Duchess wanted to utilize Andrew's deep historical connections with ultra-wealthy trade executives in the Middle East and Asia to secure massive private funding for a brand-new, independent charitable foundation that she was quietly planning to launch outside the control of Buckingham Palace. Andrew alleges that Meghan offered him a highly sophisticated trade deal. In exchange for introducing her to his elite billionaire funding networks, she would use her massive global media popularity to provide high-profile publicity and international brand rehabilitation for the House of York. She allegedly promised to ensure that her millions of global fans would view Andrew and his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, as progressive, modern, and essential elements of the new royal family, effectively helping him bypass the media boycott that was already starting to close in around him due to his past controversial friendships. The Duke of York claims he rejected the proposal instantly, telling her that launching an independent commercial venture using unvetted international trade funds was a direct violation of the rules established by the sovereign grant. He claims he warned her that if Queen Elizabeth II ever discovered such a deal, it would result in immediate exile from the family. Andrew asserts that it was this specific rejection that turned Meghan into his ultimate institutional enemy. He claims that the Duchess of Sussex could not handle being told no by a senior prince, and that she immediately shifted her strategy from cooperation to total destruction. He accuses her of spending the next 4 years using her global media platform, her high-profile American interviews, and her hidden digital network to systematically leak his private data, manipulate public perception, and ensure that his historical financial dealings were dragged into the global spotlight at the worst possible moments. It was a long-term, calculated campaign of revenge, designed to completely erase him from public life as punishment for refusing to play a part in her independent commercial ambitions. Moreover, the radioactive fallout from Prince Andrew's public campaign of accusations has triggered an immediate, explosive counteroffensive from the Sussex mansion in Montecito. The Duchess of Sussex has refused to remain silent in the face of these devastating claims, and her legal team in Washington has officially fired back with a massive, high-intensity response that has left the palace press office completely paralyzed with panic. Meghan's representatives have issued a sweeping, legally binding statement categorically denying every single element of Andrew's dossier, branding his claims as a desperate, unhinged, and completely fictional smear campaign designed to distract the global public from his own active criminal investigations. But the counteroffensive does not stop at a simple public denial. Behind closed doors, Meghan's legal team has reportedly delivered a massive, terrifying ultimatum directly to King Charles III's private office. Sources close to the California household reveal that the Duchess has made it completely clear to the King that if Prince Andrew does not immediately withdraw his legal briefings and cease his public accusations against her, her team will unleash a fresh, unprecedented wave of unedited video footage and private text messages that will completely destroy what remains of the monarchy's reputation. Meghan is allegedly holding proof that senior members of the royal family, including Andrew himself, were fully aware of the highly toxic corporate deals and unvetted international funding networks long before they were ever exposed by investigative journalists. The psychological warfare has reached a terrifying peak. Meghan's camp is openly signaling to the British establishment that they possess the ultimate power to dictate the terms of the royal narrative. They are no longer operating defensively. They are using their immense media leverage to back the palace into a corner, forcing King Charles to choose between protecting his own brother or saving the entire institution from a catastrophic public exposure. The Sussexes have made it clear that they view Andrew's accusations as a declaration of total war, and they are fully prepared to watch the ancient House of Windsor burn to the ground before they allow their own global lifestyle brand to be damaged by the desperate claims of a disgraced prince. The thin surface of family unity has been completely obliterated, leaving the monarchy trapped in a high-stakes gridlock, where a single wrong move by any party will trigger a permanent public collapse that can never be walked back from. As it stands, Prince Andrew finds himself trapped in a prison of his own making. His explosive campaign of accusations against Meghan Markle has failed to secure the institutional protection he so desperately craved. Instead of rallying the royal family around his defense, his desperate decision to leak the Sandringham dossier has completely alienated King Charles and Prince William, leaving him entirely isolated as the Metropolitan Police net continues to tighten around his private finances. The ancient machinery of the Crown has made its final calculation, choosing to completely cut the Duke of York loose to protect the core line of succession from the radioactive fallout of the upcoming criminal probe. Andrew's final verdict on the Duchess of Sussex, delivered in a quiet whisper to his remaining close allies, is a haunting look into the reality of modern royal warfare. He has reportedly stated that Meghan did not just win the battle for public opinion, she completely rewritten the rules of how the monarchy operates in the digital age. She entered the 1,000-year-old institution with the mind of a corporate strategist, identified every single hidden crack in the palace facade, and used those cracks to build an empire of her own that the old guard simply cannot control or influence. The photographs taken in the dark corners of the Sandringham library have become his permanent undoing, a silent trail of digital evidence that has stripped him of his titles, his honors, and his freedom. The war between the disgraced prince and the American Duchess is officially over, and the outcome is absolute. Prince Andrew stands on the absolute brink of a high-profile criminal trial that could carry a lifetime sentence under misconduct in public office, his name permanently dragged through the mud of international financial fraud and deep-seated corruption. Meghan Markle, meanwhile, remains secure inside her multi-million-dollar California mansion, her global commercial brand expanding by the day, despite the effects of the frantic accusations echoing across the Atlantic. By allowing this hidden war between Prince Andrew and Meghan Markle to spill out into the open, the institution has given the world a front-row seat to its own internal decay. The secrets carried inside those velvet-lined boxes and metal filing cabinets are no longer safe behind palace walls. They are weaponized currencies traded across international borders, used by rival factions to secure power, leverage wealth, and execute permanent personal vengeance. The crown remains resting on King Charles's head for now, but the structural foundations beneath the throne have turned entirely to dust. Thank you for staying with us. What do you think of Prince Andrew's accusations towards Meghan? Do you think she really did it? Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.